This is Vlad with the Vital Doc Talk podcast, where we talk about more than just your patients. We talk about you and how you can take care of your practice. And today we have Dr. Jessica Wendling with us. Jessica, great. So she just started her practice fairly recently. Full disclosure, I actually did some consulting with Jessica early on, and it worked well until this Corona thing really impacted her and impacted me. And we'll talk about, I think today, Jessica, how Corona is kind of impacting the business and how do you handle that situation. So why don't you go into kind of like a little bit of background about you, what you've done before you started your practice, what led you to start it, and what was working, what wasn't, and then how, where it is today.
Sounds great. Yeah. So I'm originally from the Metro Detroit area, and I used to work in cardiac rehabilitation, saw how lifestyle, diet, nutrition affected people's lives, their quality of life, helped their prognosis of their disease, turned around a lot of the cardiovascular issues they were having. And the big question in my mind after that was, well, why aren't we doing these preventative measures before the heart attack? Why are we waiting until after? So that led me out to Washington, where I studied naturopathic medicine, where we look at prevention, treating the whole person, treating the root cause of disease. And I was in primary care for a couple of years before I started my own practice. And during the primary care years, I found that the root cause of a lot of the diseases were actually a neurological dysfunction or a maladaptive stress response. So when I started working on that underlying issue, the working to repattern the nervous system, working on the adaptive stress response, I noticed a lot of my clients got better. And I started getting a bunch of referrals for that, and it turned into pretty much my whole practice. So I broke off of the primary care model into more of a specialized clinic last August. So August is really when I started my own business and focused primarily on the nervous system and the adaptive stress response.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And your business is how old today?
It's about 6 months. And it's pretty young when all this coronavirus hit.
Love it. And I was like, let's start the call, let's just get into it before, because I was going to say this. I think you personally are luckier than other business owners right now. And that might sound weird, right? This is just a different perspective, right? But my perspective is, look, you get this challenge early on, and once you overcome it, then you're going to be like so much better prepared for stuff like this in the future. Because there's always going to be recessions every 10 to 20 years. But you're actually not going to be impacted as hard. You don't have to. I was talking to one of my other clients, and she was telling me that she had to lay off some people, right? She's losing money, right? So there's rent, there's the landlord. One of those doctors I spoke with last week, he got lucky because his landlord said, hey, you can pay me this rent next year. However, and that's that. You're not going to go out of business because of rent. And some people, though, they're losing that, and there's a lot of costs. You're super lean right now. Like you're probably, hopefully you didn't even, you're not working with any other marketers or business coaches or anything like I talked about.
No, I took your advice. I didn't hire on anyone else until I had a 6-month cushion, and I was well on my way to saving that cushion to cover rent and everything when this hit. So I'm actually really thankful for that piece.
You're welcome. Yeah, guys. So I did a small-time project with Jessica. She gave me a nice 5-star Google review. And then she's like, great, let's start going all in on this SEO thing. And I was like, wait, let's talk about your business, right? Because like my number one value is care. And it's not just about promoting Vlad and his business. It's about taking care of our clients in the industry, pushing the industry forward. That's why I have this podcast. And I told Jessica, I said, hey, you got to have at least minimum, you got to have 6 months in here, especially as a small business owner. And she was like, okay. And now I'm like, I'm so glad. Right. I'm so glad because, I'm having so I've been impacted by COVID myself because, 50% of my clients, we used to have 20 different clients. And now we've chosen to go into this doctor direction around a year ago. But, we still have 20 different clients we service. I've lost probably about 10 of them right now because, the co-working space, that was one of my clients that I met, Jessica at, we did some sessions there. The office space is completely closed down. No one's going there at all. And they're in a really tough situation right now, and hopefully they can recover. I don't know myself. But all those types of clients I had, they're really getting impacted. So Jessica, before COVID, right? Why don't we do that, right? Before COVID, when you could talk to other people,
Yeah.
and how was your mindset? Like, how did it change, in terms of growing your business, and how did that work out?
So initially, when I started my business, I was working with people in person. I specialize in something called neurofeedback, where I'm actually hooking people up to an EEG machine and giving them neurostimulation. So this is all in-person treatments, and that's been primarily what I've marketed, what I've advertised are these in-person treatments.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the whole model is based around that. And in the background, I've always thought, well, okay, and then I'm going to build up my web platforms and start more telemedicine stuff, or do lab testing and consultations over the phone, or make that available.
Mm-hmm.
But not until, I really get some foot traffic through the door and grow my business a little bit, because it was
Mm-hmm.
working really well. And now it's like those things were on the back burner, but that's been moved up to the front of, okay, now I have to totally revamp my model, provide new or develop new protocols, and provide new services so I can create value over the phone rather than just these in-person treatments. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. My clinic has shut down because of the in-person nature of the visits, but that's really just temporary, and waiting for the dust to settle here. But it's giving me an opportunity to build up these online platforms and the telemedicine stuff. So
100%. And I would say, telehealth, having some kind of, like some of these different diversified services as a doctor can be huge, but like anything, there's a pro and a con. I don't think, just like in business, I don't think just SEO is the answer. I don't think there's just like one answer, to things. I think you've got to have a holistic point of view. Maybe if I could go back in time, I'd call my business holistic marketing, but yeah, so I think that's good. I think, so I was talking to one of my other doctor clients, and we're getting into telehealth with her.
Yeah.
But in your position, can you think of any services that you could do online? Because that's one of the things I'd say, hey, if we were working together, right, I'd say, hey, let's get into that field and see whatever you can. So what can you sell people right now online, or can you any products, books? What you got?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and I go back to what you kept telling me about saving my money. And what I want for my clients too is the best thing for them. I mean, we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know what this is going to turn into economically, if we're headed toward a next recession. So what I really don't want to do is charge people $300 an hour over the phone to provide a service that I don't know how I feel about taking people's money like that.
So what you're saying is you don't know how essential your service is to your clients, in terms of like, they're going to be stressed, but they'll still live, right?
That's right. I mean, I'm kind of one of those non-essential medical practices right now. I'm not dealing directly with COVID-19. Now, I am dealing with the mental health and the anxiety and the fear around everything that is happening. And I think my treatments would be of value in person. But the stuff that I've been offering people is just through my emails. I've been touching base with my current clients through email, giving them basic lifestyle tips on how to stay healthy, how to stay well right now. And I think I'm kind of covered. What I really want to do is create more content to create higher value for people, where I'd feel better about charging for these services. Now, if I was still credentialed as a primary care provider through all the major insurances, it would be a different story. I think I'd feel more comfortable doing telehealth visits and giving them those basic lifestyle techniques, but charging insurance companies, you know, a lot of my clients are low income or elderly, or their savings have been affected by this crisis too. So we're kind of just in uncharted territory, and I have enough savings right now to try to build up more value in what I can offer. And honestly, I'm open to suggestions from people of what they would find value in right now, or
Yeah.
trying to discover how I can help, you know.
I would say, right, so your service, so you got to think of your industry, right?
Yeah.
And you could think about yourself as an industry. Like if SEO was shut down tomorrow, I think, okay, what about marketing? What could I offer marketing? You know, maybe business consulting, business growth. For you, it's looks like for you, it's mainly in the health space. I think stress, personally, by the way, I think stress is super key to manage. So what you're doing, I would personally say, is an essential business, and you probably know the statistics a lot better than me, but I think it's, you know, super high when it comes to heart attacks and stress and how they're linked. You know, so really matters with the heart, you know, stuff like that. I think that is key and critical. I have a CPR client who can't do any CPR, and I was like, man, that's another kind of critical thing. You know, it's life. He's literally saving lives. You know, but I guess he's not essential. It's pretty weird. If I were you, even my CPR client, I'm going to talk to him soon. What I would do is I would go in all digital. What can we do digital? I know you can't do telehealth, maybe that, but maybe you got an ebook you can sell, right? Now is a good time to actually pretend like, hey, you're an author stuck in a cabin somewhere. You've got a lot of time to write that ebook and get that out there. And then what I'm going to do actually, we have an ebook that we wrote, I'm going to publish that publicly, and then I'm just going to write the 2.0 version, you know? So, because I wrote that ebook before I did business with you, and you know, worked more in the field, and now I've got like an advanced version I'm going to write. But the other thing, I think when we work together, what do you feel like really made a difference? Not just when we work together, but just for you, what do you wish you knew when you first started and got started on earlier?
Yeah, one of the biggest things you helped me do was hold me accountable and create new cheaper ways to market than what I was anticipating. So just going and getting my hands dirty with more in-person marketing meetings, joining the networking groups, that really helped my business. And that continues to be a support even now. I'm still meeting with a lot of these networking groups. We're all bouncing ideas off of each other on how to transition into this more digital era of how we conduct our businesses. So yeah, it's been really helpful. I am so happy I developed that network over the couple of months before. And really, I'm surprised at how quickly it all happened. I went from having the lowest number of clients since opening business in January, because I had to take 3 weeks off. That was the first taste of what it was like to, the end of December, I got sick and I had to cancel clients for a couple of weeks. And because it's just me and I don't have support staff, I had to shut down my business while I healed. And then I traveled out of town for a week. So that was my mini taste of what a pandemic would feel like before this actually happened. And it was really hard on my business. I went from having about 20 clients a week to just 6 when I returned, which is horrible. You know, it's not enough to keep my doors open. People had already paid for their treatment packages, so I wasn't bringing in any new money, and I was really in a tough spot. And that's when I met you, and we did more of the you went through the SEO basics with me, but it was really the business coaching, the networking, that stuff was invaluable. And all I did was go out and put myself out there for a couple of weeks. And I have a group of like 60 plus practitioners, therapists in my network who started to supply me with continuous patients. I had predictable number of clients. I was beating my numbers that I had set for myself, and I was starting to actually save up that cushion. And a couple months later, this hits.
That's funny.
So, it's been kind of a roller coaster, but I just feel fortunate, and I am using this as an opportunity to promote more of those network, just really reestablish those networks. Those have been invaluable. And like you said, start writing a book or something, because I have a lot.
No, for sure. I think now is the perfect time to come. The mindset for every business owner should be coming back stronger, right? If anybody listens to the last podcast episode I did with my friend Omar, I called it Medical Marketing Pros, and I just rebranded the podcast like in the next episode, but to Vital Doc Talk, because we're so early. But basically, he talks about how you need to have high yield thinking, right? Like, what are the thoughts that are going to get me the most fruits versus like being stressed out, right? And you deal with stress, Jessica. So like when we're stressed, we're definitely in that fight or flight, not best mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I worked with Jessica briefly, of course, we did a small project. I said, okay, look, SEO is just not the time for you right now. You got to invest a lot of resources here. And so I said, let's just do a couple hours of consulting and call it a day. I think I ended our sessions early too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was like, you're set. No, yeah. Cause on the last meeting, I was like, wait, like she knows everything. I think she's good. I was like, she's definitely got everything. You applied it very well. So there's a compliment for sure. So basically, I think not everybody just needs SEO, right? Like not everybody just needs what I do. Maybe they need what I do in terms of like the community I'm building, right? But not my services and working with me directly. I'm not like a tax guy where everything, everybody needs taxes.
Right.
I think what I did teach you to do, building up a network is key. My thesis is building a community is the number one thing you can do. And during this time, you can still do that, right? So maybe if you want to start a podcast, Jessica, I think Zoom is very cheap or free right now, right? Mm-hmm. You can do that. You can have like the anti-stress podcast. Everybody,
I'm
everybody
is.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No.
Just dovetailing off of that, I'm actually creating a stress class where I want to record in like a webinar format and just have classes available for people to take and have it pre-recorded, because it's the same. There's the stress axis is mental, emotional for sure. And I'm sure everyone's feeling that impact right now. But there's also sleep disturbances, blood sugar imbalances, and inflammation. And if those things are also causing physiological stress, you won't be able to perform as well as you could. You can't access our prefrontal cortex or that logic brain, and you're going to be stuck in that fear mode. So I think that's one way I can add value, just add an online class or platform for people to do this. They can do their own lab testing, and yeah, it's something I'm considering right now. I'm not just considering, I'm actively.
I love that. Because, that is exactly what I was talking about, right? So writing a book, maybe starting an online class about what you do instead, and educating people and getting paid that way. Also, it's how are you, as a doctor, how are you uniquely positioned, right? So if you're the dentist, well, I'm going to have a dentist on Tuesday. It's, what are your best practices while you can't see your dentist if you have a toothache, right? Maybe, you can get rid of it somehow, et cetera, right? For you, you're super uniquely positioned. You probably, I don't know if you know this, but you probably haven't started doing this yet, but I think news companies would love to talk to you right now, because when everybody's stuck at home and stressed out, right? Who has the answer? You, right? Like it's kind of, they've been waiting for you right now. So you're very uniquely positioned to actually thrive right now. Potentially, you might be able to pitch yourself to some news companies, et cetera. And I think, a book is just kind of adds credibility, right? So you can say, it'd be hilarious if you wrote like an stuck at home COVID book, anti-stress thing. And then, you have your book and then you go, but yeah, if you have a book, if you write that, 70 pages, whatever, and you just start pitching yourself to news outlets right now, you can tell them you're coming out with a book before it's done, but you just need to have an outline, start writing it, right? Then that might be gold for you as well right now.
Another golden idea. That's great.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing is podcasts, right? So you can start your own, because everybody's stuck at home doing nothing anyways. The They're happy. They're, you know, they're sick and tired of talking to their family and you know, whatever, arguing with their spouse. They're like, all right, I got to get out of here. So a podcast is great. Starting your own or just jumping on other people's podcasts would be great as well, you know.
Okay.
And if you, I think if you reach out to other podcasts and other websites and say, hey, you know, I specialize in stress and anxiety management. Now is obviously my time to shine. That's great for you. But I'm thinking about, what would you tell the doctor or maybe the dentist that just got out of school, right? 6 months in, and this hit their practice. What would you tell them to do, Jessica, to grow? Because you were growing very well, by the way. You were up until the right. Yeah.
Yeah, we more than doubled my monthly revenue, my best month. Yeah, what would I tell? I don't know. Go talk to Vlad.
No. You definitely have more insight knowledge, right? Like you've had these discussions before. One thing I told you about was talking to other business owners as referral partners.
Mhm.
However, I was not a part of those conversations because I'm not a doctor talking to other doctors, right? I run a marketing agency. So
Right.
as a doctor, what do you need to tell other doctors to get them to meet up with you and start referring business? Because I didn't write that script. That was all you.
Yeah, you have to offer some kind of value or how your services would dovetail off of theirs. You don't want to set yourself up as competition, direct competition for these businesses. You want to show how you can add value to their services. So what I tell people, because I'm working with the stress response and the nervous system, I see a lot of people who other doctors have no answers for. They've tried everything that our typical algorithms in medicine tell us to do, and they're not making any progress. If that's the case, usually there's an underlying neurological issue. So I go out to therapists, doctors, everyone in the community, and I say, hey, who are your stuck clients? The people who aren't getting better even though you would expect them to. These are the people that typically doctors don't like to work with because you know, it's frustrating.
Are these the hypochondriacs of the world, or?
It can be the hypochondriacs. It can be people who really were just not addressing that root cause, and there is something underlying. But most of medicine is kind of from the neck down. We don't really focus too much on the brain, and the truth is we don't really know much about the brain. We probably only know about 20% that there is to know about all of the nervous system function. So when you're working with newer medicine like reprogramming and repatterning these nervous system patterns, and not a lot of people know about it, your clients certainly don't know about it. So I talk to other physicians, and when I'm talking to them, even they don't know much about it. So you just give them something simple. You give them your ideal referral client. Hey, I work with anxiety, I work with PTSD, I work with trauma reactions and depression. Give me your most stuck people, and we'll see if they can't move forward in these treatment plans. And usually they go back and they start moving through the treatment plans a lot easier. So I found how I can create value for these other providers. I reinforce the treatment plans that they've laid out before them. I don't try to change anything. I don't try to step on their toes and mess with their current treatment plans. I just try to add to it so they can actually move through it. They have motivation and they have the skills necessary, the energy to actually get through it.
That's interesting. So basically, it sounds like what you're saying is find out where you uniquely fit with the treatment plans and try to add yourself as another treatment plan to the doctor.
That's right.
Okay, so let's say I'm a dentist, right?
Mm-hmm.
From your perspective, right? How would I maybe get business? Because I was just talking to a dentist last week, right? And yours is pretty, now, you know, the more you tell me, I'm like, man, this is an obvious fit. Was it always obvious to you that of where you fit in? Did you have to come up with that? Yeah.
It wasn't always obvious. I came up with that. It was easier to come up with that through my experience working as a primary care provider in an office with other physicians, because I noticed what naturally started happening is they would send me, even though we were all trained in the same thing, people started sending me this type of client, this type of person who there are always these underlying neurological things. People are like, oh, this is another hypochondriac, or another person with fibromyalgia, or another person who isn't making any progress or comes in with excuse after excuse after excuse. And I started thinking, well, maybe it's not an excuse. Maybe we're just missing something as a medical community here. And I started getting, it was my curiosity, it was my passion, it was my interest. So I started diving deep into it, and I found something that actually worked to move people through it. But in having that experience, I noticed, oh, these other physicians don't want to deal with this specifically. So I can tell them, hey, this is what I do, and they'd be happy to send me people.
I'm trying to think of, like, if I was a dentist, right? How would I find my special, unique spot? Because it's like, great for you, Jessica. You already found it, right? Wow, amazing, right? But you're saying when talking with other doctors and working with them, that's how you found it. So how would I get to, if I don't know where my special spot is, just like I said, like a dentist is the easy thing. Would I just go and say, hi, I'm the local dentist, I'd love to chat with you about referring business, and then that's how you found out? Is that how you start? Is there a magic script? Is it that simple?
I think it's that simple. And I think it's also, I personally don't refer to other people that I haven't met. I like meeting people. I like knowing how they practice. I like knowing who they are as a person. And from there, I can see who my clients would actually fit with, who would be good matches when I'm referring people off to other referral partners. So I think it's just really important to get your face in front of people, chat with people, talk to them, let them get to know you as a person, get to know them as a person. And in building that relationship, I think it probably takes, because you had me start, this was another invaluable thing that I gained from you, was the tracking of my marketing referral partners.
Yeah.
I never tracked it before. I would just use it as, I'm good at building relationships, but I've never laid down on a spreadsheet like every single person I was talking to, and when I chatted with them and what we left off talking about. But it makes it very easy to track, well, who's actually sending me clients. I would recommend they just cast a wide net, put their face in front of a lot of other people, and see who starts sending them clients. That helped a lot, because then I could really focus on the referral avenues that were generating the most clients for me, And if I didn't know what my specialty was, before I knew what my specialty was and how I developed it, is who is coming to see me. Every doctor has a different type of person who comes to see them.
That's it right there, right? It goes back to the patient, right? So if you're a dentist out there and you've got people with tooth pain, right? Then you have to ask yourself, who are they seeing? Maybe the pediatrician, right? Maybe the general health people. Those might be your circle. You follow the client, and they'll, right? Who do they go to see after you or before you? And from a dentist, it's like, they don't really see anybody before me, but maybe they got an optometrist. That's probably a lot more gold, the optometrist, because they see those regularly. So that really got my mind turning. And, I think your script wasn't anything complicated, right? When you do cold emails or postcards and all that stuff kind of worked, right?
Yeah, I mean, my very first marketing adventure was just sending out a letter I send out a handwritten letter, because most people don't do those anymore. So I thought it would flag their attention a little bit. I threw in some business cards and a brochure, and I just announced the opening of my private practice. I just told them.
How many letters did you do? Handwritten? Wow.
I did about 80. They weren't handwritten, they were typed out, but it was, paper rather than the email.
And then maybe you write their name on the letter like that.
Yeah.
And you did 80. Right. How many responses did you get? 80, and then you sent them to local doctors.
I probably only got like 3 to 5 responses from that, but they were big groups. They were medical groups. They were a couple of therapy groups, counseling groups, and I was like, maybe actually the doctors didn't respond to me, the therapists did. So that gave me a clue too. It was like, maybe I should just market to therapists. And I'm like, I guess neurological conditions have always been associated with talk therapy, more so than the medical field. That's a better idea. Let me just go toward the therapists. And
that's gold. Yeah. And that's what impressed me when I first found you, because you were already proactively doing these things. So I was like, great, consulting can definitely work here, because you'll listen and execute. And then I was like, you just got to do the tracking now. Because if you get 5, right, you're like, I got 5 this month. You keep doing that, You know, in 12 months, you've got 60 big groups and you're going to get business. You just got to track it. And then, you know, you can improve your script from there. So that's great. And I think a lot of doctors, they don't put that business hat on. And now's a good time to look at their marketing expenses and say, hey, how much am I getting, right? What is my customer acquisition cost? And most business owners, period, don't know this. And Jessica, I want to be respectful of your time here. Looks like we're about to be up. So last question. If I'm a business owner, period, you know, or obviously a doctor as well, what would your tip be to de-stress ourselves during this time? We're all stuck at home, you know, and we can't strap ourselves to one of those machines and, you know, with the wires, what you do. What would your general tips be?
Yeah, take a few deep breaths, really close your eyes. I really do emphasize breathing. So breathing right into the diaphragm, making sure your belly is expanding. Just by stimulating the diaphragm and doing deep breathing like that, we are strengthening our parasympathetic tone, or our rest, digest, and heal tone. And if you just take a few minutes to breathe before you eat, before you sit down to do work, you'll be much less in that fear state and much more in a logical mind, ready to do some work. So
awesome. And then if I was a doctor and I wanted to connect with you, or, you know, a client or whatever, where would we be able to find you? How would we contact you?
yeah, you can contact me through my email. Right now it's just info at my name, Jessica Wendling, Wendling, ND, like naturopathicdoctor.com. So again, just info at jessicawendlingnd.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jessica.
Yep, good to hear from you. Good to see you again, Vlad. And take care of yourself. I hope you do well in this recession or whatever this is, the COVID-19.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll figure it out. You know, I think, like I said, everybody out there, now's a good time to revisit everything and come back stronger. So next time we'll give you some more Vital Doc talk. Thank you.